p.m. We are in the center office building on the second floor if you'd like to join us. Go-to-meeting access is available at global.gotomeeting.com/join, and it's B460-62197. With that, we'll take attendance.
Eric Gaspar, present.
Ted Winglass, present.
Ed Goodwin, present. Okay. We will go to the reading.
All right. In the interest of saving time, the Sturbridge Conservation Commission will hold all public hearings tonight for work within a wetland, water body, or resource area and or within the 200-foot buffer zone to a wetland, water body, or resource area in accordance with the Mass Wetland Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 30, and associated regulations, and the Town of Sturbridge Wetland Bylaws and associated regulations. We will not be reading the newspaper ad. Prior to opening the first hearing for each project, the applicant is to submit proof of notification to abutters within 200 feet of the subject property line and proof of legal newspaper advertisement. If these items are not submitted, the public hearing will not open. Additionally, prior to the start of each public hearing, we will announce the location of the project, the applicant, and the applicant's representative. If any of the visitors have not legibly signed in yet, please do. Also, if any visitors are recording this meeting, please let us know. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. All right, we are at
6:02.
6:02.
So, we have a few minutes, so we actually have a couple quick certificates of compliance that we have people here for.
All right.
So I'd just like to do those quickly if we can. We've got two. We've got number 8 on the agenda, just because he's in the room here, Mark's in the room. This is 77 Westwood Drive, request for a certificate of compliance. We did discuss this one at the December 5th meeting. It was decided that there would be 3 trees planted on the property. If weather permitted, they were able to get that in. They did get those in while we had that warm spell, where ground conditions were appropriate. And we did receive a revised as-built plan reflecting that those were put on there. So he's met what was last asked for. At this time, I'd recommend accepting that as-built plan with the changes and issuing a complete certificate of compliance. Perpetual conditions noted in the order were numbers 18 and 19.
All right.
We need to know about the stormwater drain.
That's it. Any, Eric, any?
Nope, no comments.
Ed?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the certificate of compliance for DEP file number 300-0913.
And I'll second the motion that we approve
77 Westwood.
77 Westwood Drive for a request for certificate of compliance.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ted Winglass abstain.
Ed Goodwin in favor. So,
You can
Vote
vote.
on it.
Yep, this is certificate of compliance. In fact, we kind of need you to.
Well, you had 2 out of
Correct.
3 still, so, but sure.
But don't we have,
Well, yeah, so it's a little different. Under the state act, the majority is based off of who's present. So under the state act, it would be, you need 2 because there's 3 of you present. Under the local bylaw, it's the majority of them in office.
I didn't
so
know I
it's
wasn't
3.
able to.
Yeah,
I'm brand new.
that's okay,
Whoever-
I'm sorry.
Is this you guys? You? Okay.
all right.
Said it's just the public hearing, so, yeah, sorry, I should have told you that.
Yeah.
You can vote on it.
Put in a little rope, so we'll get it
That's all
done if we
right.
see you again. All right, so I'm going to change my vote, Ted Winglass, and I'm going to vote to approve it.
All right, great. All right, another one?
Yep, all set, Mark.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks.
So, yeah, we'll send it to you.
I'm going to go out and take a look at those trees.
I'll email it to you tomorrow, you can print it out one-sided. It's
Mark, we're going to go out and take a look at those trees as soon as we get a snowstorm, all right?
I did drive by and saw it.
Bye.
I emailed it to your lawyer last time.
Oh, because I was
So,
going to say I didn't
yeah,
receive it last
Yeah,
time.
we'll email it to both you guys.
Okay,
Yep.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too, Anthony.
Okay, next would be number 6. This is I-84 eastbound near mile marker 2. Request for certificate of compliance for file number 300-1071. We do have Kyle Varela from Rue Associates on here. Just to refresh those who were on the board at that time, This was an accident on Interstate 84 that involved a UPS truck that went off the side of the highway into a wetland. They did file a DEP and remediation work was done through an emergency authorization that we gave them. They did file a notice of intent afterwards for wetland restoration that was required from that accident. Rue Associates did the plantings. I don't know if I wrote it on here. I did include their last monitoring report for you. They did the plantings, and they have been going out and doing the monitoring and reporting that we required. They've been very thorough reporting. They did a really excellent job with that. And they've have, I think it was like 100% success rate out there. 75% was required. So I think at this time it's appropriate to close that out.
Okay, great.
All right? And Kyle is on here if anyone has any questions.
Any questions?
Nope, I'm good.
No, the pictorial was great.
Like to make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 300-1071.
You can vote 10.
And I'll
Have a second?
I'll second the motion to approve the certificate of compliance, application number 300-1071.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed Winglass, aye.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Yeah, so I just sent Roy a message, and he replied that, he said, "My apologies, I can't attend this evening," so he won't be here.
Okay.
So before we move into the public hearings, Dave, that affects your project unfortunately again. So because your hearing started previously. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if they started previously. Well, they started before Ted started here. So Ted has to abstain from voting on your project. But you need 3 votes under the bylaw to pass the project. So Roy, the other member, needed to be here in order to vote on that. So we can still open the hearing and maybe see if there's any comments at this point. I know John Shevlin is already on here. You know, and just kind of go over that. But if they take a vote and only 2 of them can vote, your project won't pass under the local bylaw. So, yeah, I apologize. It's unfortunate because of, you know, us losing a member last year, you know, so, I didn't know that Roy wasn't gonna be here, otherwise I would have, you know, let you know in advance.
Okay.
All right?
No worries. I know that it's just part of, can't change it.
It's a little worse than ever right now, I'll tell you.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's probably acceptable. While I'm here, at least we can,
Yeah, I think that,
okay.
All right.
okay, all right, thank you.
So you
Or you want to go with
Lake Drive?
14 Cedars Drive?
Do you wanna read the whole thing?
Yeah, I should.
Yep.
14 Cedar Drive, notice of intent, construction of a garage, DEP file number 300-1151. Owner applicant is Taylor Stedman. Representative is D. Stadowski, DJ Associates. You know, request is to issue an OOC.
Right, yeah, we just had someone else join. We have someone on GoToMeeting here, just hasn't put a name on here. Dave, are you happen to be on here, or can the person who hasn't put their name acknowledge who they are for us? Oh, it's Debbie Weber.
It's
Oh,
me.
that's
It's
Debbie.
me.
Okay. Oh, Dave is on here, great, all right.
All right?
So, right, we do have, we have the representative on GoToMeeting, we have the applicants and property owners here. Dave, I'll pull up and share the screen. We have a colored plan that we put together. It's just your site plan with, you know, colors on there to help with the presentation for that, and let you go over the project, all right?
All right?
Dave, can you see the screen, or are you on the phone line?
No, I can see the screen, and what I'm seeing in front of me is I can see 3 members on the left, and I can see 1 person on
Okay.
the right. I
Yeah.
can't see the plan or anything else.
Yep, I'm just gonna, I'm sharing my screen right now, so let me just navigate through here. All right, can you see that now?
Yes, I can see it now.
Perfect. Go ahead.
All right. I understand Taylor is there. Anyways, my name is David Sadowski. I'm the principal of DJ and Associates, and this is a plan our company has put together. We had the wetland demarcated by Margaret Bacon. We located the flags. We show the different colored offset lines. And what we were trying to do was do an attached garage to an existing structure. When I first met with Taylor, he wanted to put the back of the garage even with the house, and I told him that was way too close to the wetlands. Then we talked about the shed that was there, taking the shed out. So we would take away some of the impervious area so we could get some groundwater recharge, aquifer recharge, I should say. And then we talked about if the garage moved forward, maybe leave the last 5 or 6 feet so we could create a walkway so you could, in inclement weather, you could leave the garage and go into the house. We said that still seemed like it was too close, so we moved it out to be even with the back corner of the proposed garage on the left would be even with the front right corner of the house, and it would still allow the entranceway, which is that small deck that's shown there. I know that there's a paved portion of the property. It's very close to the sideline. We're going to have to go to zoning. There would be no trees removed as a result of this proposed garage. There was a large tree that I guess the tree warden has gone by and taken a look at and said that it probably should come down. And I understand from the conservation walk, there was a comment made about the tree also. The real thing that Taylor wanted to do was have it so the garage could connect to the house. So with inclement weather, with security, with whatever, once you go in the garage, you're into the structure of the house. That was the thoughts. The further that slides forward, the garage, even it could slide up to the pavement. It could be into the pavement a little bit, but he's got 2 existing parking spaces there that are uncovered to the elements. And he's willing to take the shed out to help balance the area that would be impervious as a result of this garage going on the site. I understand it's a smallish site. It's a lake house site. Also, the property is very skewed. You can see that side yard that angles. The property corners were all located. The lines were staked, and I understand that the garage was staked itself. I'm on vacation out of the United States right now, so I'm talking to you basically over the computer, and I guess I'm ready for any questions, and you can probably ask Taylor the same ones too.
No, we don't want to
Thank you.
know what the weather is there, is the first thing, no.
You need where you are, do you need an attached garage?
Yeah, I'm in the Dutch Caribbean.
I just have a couple comments, just so, for the record, we do have proof of the abutter notifications in legal ad for the public hearing. DEP did issue a file number, there were no comments with this project. As you mentioned, we did do a site visit out there and, you know, talked a little bit about the project and see, you know, what type of potential modifications could be out there. One other thing to note as well is that, there are setback issues with, zoning on the property too, which adds some constraints. Part of their evaluation of where to put the garage too, there's a well with a water line and a sewer line that goes into the property as well up there. So it would be a new structure within the 50-foot new no structure setback. A waiver can be granted provided there's no alternatives. They did include some. One thing we talked about out there, and I'll let you talk about it a little bit, is if it could shift out a little bit more. And then right with that 42-inch oak there, there was some evidence of decline there. Would that need to come out? It looked like the roots would probably be pretty significantly impacted if the garage was in that location. Maybe even if it had to shift a few feet. So there was some discussion about maybe including that to come out or not. So we'll see what your thoughts are on that. They also are going to be doing rain barrels to collect runoff off the roof. And as they mentioned, another point of mitigation proposing is removing that existing shed and letting that area naturalize. So I guess, you know, evaluate if you're comfortable with the alternatives that have been provided, or you think that, you know, need to explore a little bit more, and if that, you know, what they're proposing kind of for mitigation would be sufficient for you. If the 42-inch oak does come out, you know, we mentioned on site, you know, typically looking for commission, typically where possible is doing a 2-to-1 replacement for that. So that's something that could be included if the commission felt so.
Eric, or go ahead, Ted.
I guess my first question on it was just, What's the square footage on the shed that you're removing versus where the proposed garage is that's going over the 50-foot?
Sure, yeah, Taylor Stedman, owner applicant, this is my fiance, Alicia Sprague, also live in 14 Cedar Lake Drive. So the existing shed's 157 square feet, it's
Yeah.
fairly dilapidated on the inside.
Yeah.
I do most, you can ask my neighbors, of my property maintenance, so it's not the best suitability to store those kind of objects, materials.
They'll be happy to see it leave.
Yeah, I mean, we're right across from,
not
we're right
pretty.
across from the ball field too.
Yeah.
We get fly balls, we get with the tree overhang, we get branches, limbs, it's already an insurance complaint. With the slab being put down for the proposed garage, as Ed said, it would affect that tree, at least with where the roots are. And Tony Crane did come in August and he did certify that, yeah, this tree is in decay. To answer your question, yeah, 157 square feet for that shed, so we're only asking for 371 more square footage of actual lot coverage for the garage.
And is that over the 50-foot buffer line? And it
It's smack dab in the middle right now. As Aaron said, we did talk about, sorry, not Aaron,
I mean,
Becky.
it almost,
all right.
I mean, it looks like about 60-70% of you're already giving back in terms of mitigation, plus it's closer to more sensitive areas.
Right.
Yeah. And it just sits there. It doesn't really do much for us.
We'd love to move up further, but with the constraints with the ZBA already, with that iron rebar over there, 10.7 feet, we need that 15. So the closer we get up towards the end of the driveway, the closer we're going to be impacted by that. And if we move it back, obviously that defeats our purpose that we're after.
When you come out of the house, you're gonna have to go all the way around the garage.
So we're working with an architect right now, Larry Tuttle, out of Palmer, and he wants to design a way that we can still get roof coverage without actually impacting the ground and attaching the roof line of the garage to the house itself. So it would be more of a covered walkway, sharing roof.
So that isn't on the plan right at this time.
At this time, no, but we're happy to share that as those developments come out.
Yeah, it's a congested area. I would like to see you move this up a couple feet, if you're interested in attaching so you can walk from the house to the garage, and that's, you're gonna have to come back with something different. But basically, I don't have much problem with it.
Yeah, so that was my one question. If we're looking for kind of a covered walkway, right? Is there a way to maybe extend that covered walkway just a little bit more to pull that out a few more feet,
Yeah.
right? If we have 100, you said 150 roughly square feet of the shed,
Correct.
and we're probably, if that's half and half, let's call it 250 square feet in the 50-foot buffer. So if we were to pull it forward 3 or 4 feet, that would probably offset that additional 100 feet of coverage within the 50-foot, right? So we're kind of trading
About the same where we're
be
at
about,
today.
yeah, exactly.
And
But we'd still have to deal with that tree. It would make sense if people are saying that it should come out to do that, and also make sure on the plan there's a replanting plan to revegetate and get some established. How's the coverage along the front?
Pretty good. Yeah, there's quite a few trees.
Yeah, we're good canopy.
yeah.
One of the few on
One of the few.
Yeah, you know,
one of the few on
actually-
Cedar Lake with good canopy. Wow, all right. So, I mean, that would be my only comment, is if we're looking for an ability to create that walkway, a covered walkway, is there a way for your architect to maybe further pull it out? So we have to concern ourselves. We want to work with you, but we have to concern ourselves with precedent and how these things look. So if we can pull it forward, and have a 1-for-1 there, that would make me feel a lot more comfortable, especially since it sounds like your engineer's gonna have to come back with some stuff anyway.
So would you be looking for 2 trees, two saplings to replace the oak?
Yeah, you had talked about a couple of spots that,
It's really your choosing. 2 to 1, we're totally happy with that. We just ask that it doesn't cover any southwest facing, because we do look to go solar.
That's right.
Right, the
You
front
had said- you
yard,
had said
yeah.
that, yeah.
So
Well, you could
anywhere in the
put-
western portion,
You can pick the spots.
okay.
Well, where the shed's coming out would be a great place for one.
Yeah, I
at
was just
least.
thinking right where that shed is, right?
Yeah, that was the same thing.
Yeah, maybe work with the engineer, go back home and look, where the canopy may be lacking, kind of closer to the lake, and try to find something, so.
Good.
Or even you could put 2 over there.
And
Spaced out.
what about roof runoff? What are we doing to mitigate the additional roof coverage and where it's going to be directionally away from the resource area?
Yeah, so they were proposing to do rain barrels to collect roof runoff. I'm not sure how much that collects and how much you'd be using it. That's an option here. Another thing that some other projects do is they actually install kind of like drip strips along the bottom, like where the roof line is, that helps infiltrate in the ground right there too. But I think for this size that, maybe David could talk on that, the rain barrels might be sufficient. So,
We did propose to have gutter systems installed as well on the garage.
okay, for the rain barrels, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's a crowded area down there. You're going to have to
Yeah.
enter something.
Yep.
All right, so you want to come back to us with a change to that?
Gladly.
Is that what you want to do?
Whatever's best, striking the balance between conservation and ZBA. It's probably a contested area pretty often, so whatever we can do on our parts to make sure that all parties are happy.
If you're gonna, I just look at it more simple. If you're gonna add a roof to another structure, it's gonna be inside that 50, then come back with one plan and let's knock it out and get you on your way,
Okay.
okay?
Eric?
Okay, so,
Okay, so you're asking for a continuation?
Asking for a continuation.
Through the chair, through the chair,
Yeah,
could I speak, please?
sure, go ahead.
Sure, it's Dave Sadowski again. Sir, if I could understand this correctly, if we were able to move that garage ahead 2.5, 3 feet, and then we'd be able to maybe tie the back corner of the garage up against the deck, then the walkway would just cover over and tie into the overhang that's over the deck now. We can show that on a plan for sure, and then I could do a calculation of the 50-foot line and how much of that proposed garage, with it moving forward, is actually square footage in there, and I think the square footage would pretty much, like we talked about maybe, or someone said, the shed square footage would equal or come pretty close to equaling that area of the garage. Now, the way the rain barrels work is there's spaghetti hose at the bottom of them to a tap line, and they go into the flower beds, they go anywhere, so if there's ever a shutdown on water or watering or whatever, your rain barrel's got 50 gallons in each one on the 4 corners. You open up the spigot, you can water your lawn, you can water your flowers, you can water anything without using the resources of the town. Now, you can also leave them open and they will just continually put water out, or you can save some up and then open it up when a rain event's coming. Those are the way the rain barrels work the best. That way, if there is any type of a water ban in town, you've got water for your plants without using town resources. Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, you understood what I was asking for, David, so thank you.
Would you like to request a continuation to February 16th?
Do we need to go to the public before we do that?
Yeah.
Sure. Is there anyone here in the
Any-
public that would like
Yeah.
to speak on this 14 Cedar Lake Drive proposed addition?
Okay.
Hearing none?
I'd like to make a motion
Oh.
to issue a continuance until, when's our next meeting?
February 16th.
February 16th. I should know that date.
February 13th, I know.
Well, we should all know the 14th, right?
Oh, yeah. It goes Goodwin, Lincoln, and Valentine,
Oh, okay, there you go.
so you know. All in favor of a continuation?
Did we get a second first?
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
I was second to
All right.
continue the public hearing on DEP file 300-1151.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ted
we get-
Winglass in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we are now at 505 Main Street, notice of intent with demolition of a commercial building, replacement with a multifamily residential building and associated parking, DEP file number 3001152.
Before we open the public hearing, can I ask a question?
Sure?
So this has not been brought in front of us.
Correct.
We have a missing member. Do we have to open the public hearing?
Well, actually, so
No
for this,
testimony.
they actually asked today for, we got a written continuation for a request on this to our next meeting.
Okay.
So they're not here today anyways. We have to, it would be up to the applicant. If they didn't
Yes,
want to, they could ask for that to be postponed, and you could accept that.
Just given our,
But the issue
Structural
is,
change.
in that case, we have 3 members, we are a board, therefore the answer is yes, we have to open the public hearing unless the applicant
request us
We
not
are-
to,
requests not to.
but they requested a continuance,
Yeah,
so
it's-
we're kind
So
of
we're all
boxed
set
in.
on this one anyway. Maybe the next one or the one after that, we got a problem, but
Yeah.
Right, right. Yes, okay.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We're required to within 21 days of receiving a complete application, so.
Yeah,
we
okay.
have to.
So we are giving this a continuation?
Yep, they've asked for a continuation to our February 16th meeting.
Eric?
Motion to approve the continuation until February 16th.
Ted?
Aye.
Second?
Oh,
I second.
I'm going to second the motion to move the public hearing to February 16th.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed Winglass, aye.
Ed Goodwin in favor. Right? We're now at 698 Main Street, notice of intent to continued commercial building and with associated parking and utilities, DEP file number 300-1144.
So this is a continuation. We do have the applicant on go-to meeting. We have his representatives here. We also have John Shevlin on go-to as well. John Shevlin did the peer review for this, so he's here. Where this was last left was there was an initial peer review report that you had received that John went over for you. There was a couple things that, couple minor revisions he was requesting to the plans. They did make those revisions. There was another quick peer review with some comments. I've provided all of that to you, as well as the most current plans. So they're here to go over, those last changes for you, see if there's any additional comments. Unfortunately, because Roy is not here, and because we had lost some members and have a new member, unfortunately, it's up to the applicant, if they'd like to ask for a continuation afterwards. There's not enough members here to vote to pass the project under the local
Because Ted
bylaw.
didn't start with it?
Because Ted didn't start with it, he has to abstain from a vote on it.
Okay.
Yep, and unfortunately, Roy isn't here this evening, which we weren't anticipating, so it does affect that, so.
So you guys are going
Sorry.
to come back to the next meeting? Is that what we're agreeing to here?
I believe so. I don't see where there's a choice.
Alternative?
Yeah, an alternative.
I'm
The
trying
only-
to be polite.
Is it, one question I might ask, Mr. Chairman, is it possible to have a special meeting in between now and then?
No,
No, it would have to be at the next scheduled meeting. Okay.
scheduled meeting. Yeah.
So you put, all of this is putting me in a very difficult spot, right? So I will do my best. I have a 7:00 performance. This needs to be 6:05.
Okay.
Because
Could we
I need to be at Tantasco at 7:00,
Well-
ask the other members if you could possibly start early? then?
or if we could start early that day.
We could start the meeting
5
earlier,
5 p.m.
absolutely.
If it was applicable to the others.
And the applicant, or,
On what date, 16th?
Yeah.
February 16th? Yeah, why wouldn't we?
Caroline has a performance
We can
at
definitely-
Tantasco that night.
We can
so.
definitely start at
Sure.
well,
5 o'clock. Ted, can you make that?
Yeah, fine.
right,
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
And unfortunately,
Thank
with not having the other member here, we wouldn't be able to say if they could do a special meeting, wouldn't be able to schedule that because he's not here. And then if he can't be there for that meeting and we've continued to it, then we have an issue again, unfortunately.
There's no issue with the public moving the meeting around from 6 to 5. We got plenty.
Nope,
of-
nope, we'll post the agenda appropriately and everything will be on there per open meeting law, so, yeah, we'll be
It's not a
fine.
problem, well, maybe it would be a problem for something else, but I would need to be gone probably by 6:15, so.
That's fine,
Okay.
yeah, and we'll make sure, you know.
Another good plan, make, that.
Yeah.
Is there any advantage to us giving a presentation tonight? Because the other member has seen it, right?
He has seen it, well, I guess that's up to you, does,
Well, you got the peer review too, right?
wait,
Yeah.
John is on
John's
I'd
here.
like to hear from John, so.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
that'd
just
be
give an
advantage.
update.
As much out of the way as we can.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, so, yes, because Roy can watch the meeting and do a Mullins form for this, and that way, you
Yeah.
know, he'll be up to date and all set, so.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Great.
Okay with you?
Yeah, oh yeah,
here.
that would be
You got your-
perfect. Yep.
Sorry.
You got your stuff,
Yes.
I mean,
Yep, that's probably,
Okay, good.
All right, where are we going to go with, are we going to go with John first, or what?
well, Dave, do you want to give a?
sure, I give just a little brief, I know at the last meeting, I know we presented the plans. At that point in time, we were waiting for the peer review to be complete
Yep.
by John Shevlin from PAR. I don't believe there were any questions at our first presentation. For the plans, there really was no change to the layout or the grading. It's the same as we had shown before. We had made some minor adjustments, I know, to our hydrology calculations, as well as other minor issues to comply with the peer review comments. We responded to all of PAR's peer review comments in a positive manner. The planning board approved the project, so we do have a site plan decision approval for this already. From a grading and drainage standpoint, the only difference is we did add a subdrain to the parking lot, given the cut sections. But other than that, the general layout of the drainage and everything is the same as was presented before. We have the area where the tow cars will be stored, outdoor storage, the 7,000 square foot building. All the drainage comes down to a few catch basins which run through water quality units to an underground drainage system, and then a shallow 2 to 3 foot depth landscaped stormwater basin in the front of the property. And just to refresh the memory, there's an existing catch basin on Route 20. The whole site is sloped down towards Route 20 so that we contain on site, I believe about the 3-year storm is recharged, and then everything else, there's no increase in off-site runoff from the project, and it overflows at the same location as the existing runoff would, very small amounts, and again, to the state drainage system. And I'd be happy to, I guess if John has any other comments, I believe we've fully complied with his letters.
Yep. John, you're on.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we went ahead and did a peer review for the planning board. We had a few different review letters that were submitted. The original comments were in regards, there was, the changes that need to be made were somewhat minor. There's inverts that were wrong and things that were labeled wrong. The overall concept of the design was, we were satisfied, but it was just a lot of details that need to be figured out so we can check with the drainage calculations. You know, as David stated, you know, there is a lot of water quality structures being placed on site between deep sump catch basins, water quality structures, diversion manholes, underground system. So I feel as if, you know, the water quality is going to be taken care of. And as David mentioned, as far as the volumes are going to the state drainage system, they have gone in and designed this so that it matches or is actually a little bit less than what the existing conditions are that get to the system. So, you know, we felt like the stormwater was done correctly, and we were satisfied with that. And then all the other revisions that were made with the overall site layout and design. And then we did go through the you know, DP stormwater checklist and the standards, and we feel like the design that they have shown do meet all the standards.
All right.
I'm more than happy to answer any questions
All right.
if anybody has any specifics.
No, if John's satisfied and Becky's satisfied, I'm satisfied. I guess the only question I would have, just in the interest of efficiency, are any of the notes that Becky has given or conditions have given, are any of them objectionable to you guys?
Not to my knowledge, so.
I just had them in
Provide
the
them.
detailed
Yep.
agenda of the packet. I don't know if you got to see that or not. I can go over them quickly.
Yeah, if you could,
Yeah,
that would be
yeah,
helpful.
Yeah, there's a link in the, when we send the meeting link out, it's got, what we call our detailed agenda, it's got staff notes in it and things like that, so. So what I was recommending, if the board was satisfied, is moving forward with approval when appropriate. You've met all the standards, water quality was, the big concern here, considering the type of use that's gonna be proposed here. It's a land use with a high pollutant load. John's happy with what you've proposed to handle that. It is important that, perpetual, the O&M plan is done and, followed up on, and so we have some conditions for that. So, what I was recommending, we have some standard conditions that we add in there. During work, we'd ask that there be an environmental monitor, comes out to the site every couple weeks. Sometimes people do it where it's the same person who does the SWIP. Usually they're qualified to do both, kind of just keep an eye on the project, and make sure that, everything is following the plan, just keep things on track. It helps us, it helps you guys moving forward. So we just usually typically ask for that, especially with commercial projects, when they're moving forward pretty quickly, so we ask for that. And then also, just prior to the start of work, a typical thing, that you give us the copy of the SWIP plan that's been provided to the EPA, so we have that on our record. The annual O&M budget, I think we need when we get to that point, as well as the illicit discharge statement to be submitted. We'll ask for perpetual conditions for stormwater structures and the fence in the back to make sure that that stays and is being maintained throughout time. Then in addition, under the bylaw, we've been asking for a surety bond or deposit to ensure that the work is completed per the plan and that it's released upon the issuance of a certificate of compliance. So you can get that back at that time. It helps us get our permits closed out and done correctly. So it's just something that we've been asking for that.
What's the value?
10,000 is what we've been doing for the commercial projects.
Okay.
Right, it can be just a bond with an insurance company or the deposit, whatever is preferred. And the other thing would just be a condition that, requiring the fence out there in the back that we talked about. So I think that they've done everything to address the concerns, and they're meeting all our setbacks within the bylaw and everything within the stormwater standards. So I'd recommend approving when appropriate.
We have no objection to any of that.
Okay, thank you. That was the only question I had.
Any questions, Ted?
No?
I got a couple. It has been the history of the trucking industry in Sturbridge that they use the back of trucks to reorient everything into the, what is this wall here made of?
There's no wall there.
Yeah, there's a wall here
Okay,
on this side, which would be the strong block.
Yeah.
2x4 blocks, similar to the ones that just went over near Panera. Yeah, you'll notice Chesla built they're pretty standard nowadays. So there'll be a wall along this side. However, this is just a 2-to-1 slope up in the back, and then it matches existing grade over on this side here.
yeah, the problem is, this is the 50-foot, right?
50 foot is this white line here.
You-
The 25 foot is here.
Yeah, they're hugging the 50.
Yes, the 50 foot no structure zone.
So what is this line here?
This is the 25 foot no disturb, and this is the edge of the wetland.
That's the edge of the wetland. So the 50-foot is here?
They're right on the edge of, just off the edge of pavement.
Okay. And then from there, it tapers back, how far
It actually
does?
slopes uphill from this back area here slopes. This is an interesting case where the wetlands is actually uphill.
Yeah,
Could you give him the slope? Is it 2-to-1, 3-to-1?
I believe it's 2-to-1 in the back.
Thank you.
2 to
Away
1,
from the
so
wetlands.
It goes up 2-to-1.
Yes,
so
so
if that's the case, and the elevation, I think you told me was 8 or 9 feet at the last meeting?
correct.
8.
So,
8,
8, yeah,
it's a lot, yeah.
So, how close is this carving to the wetland?
Basically, the top of slope is about 30 to 35 feet.
30 to 35 feet?
And then it slopes down, so the bottom of slope is 50 feet from the wetlands.
Maybe explain, I think I see that you're worried that trucks in other cases where it's level, they might go further in and get into that 50, but because of that steep slope, if I could, they can't get back there. Because it's 2 to 1 to climb up there with trucks. Sorry, 2 to 1 to climb up
Yeah.
with the trucks. So,
That, I don't know if can't's the right word there.
we do have track trucks that can do 2 to 1, but that's a
Yeah.
track truck.
You know,
I use them.
okay. All right, I don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
You're requesting a continuation.
We request a
Continuation.
We request a continuation. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the continuation until February 16th.
I'll second the motion to continue 698 Main Street, DEP 300-1144 to February 16th.
We should ask the public for any
I'll
comment.
rescind my motion.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's
Send
my,
a second.
Becky, you want to just,
Anyone in the public or on the public line who'd like to speak in regards to the notice of intent for 698 Main Street? No one on the public line?
good.
All right, I
Again,
would
Eric?
like to make a motion to approve the continuation for DEP file number 300-1144.
I'll second the motion to continue the hearing for DEP file 300-1144.
All right, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ted,
Oh, you could, this is just procedural to do a continuation, you
Yep,
can vote
sorry,
on
you
that,
can
yes. Yeah, sorry, I know it's confusing.
appreciate the encouragement.
I wasn't paying attention, I was looking at the.
Ted Wenglass,
what's next
aye.
here.
All right, all in
Thank you.
favor?
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you for your time.
Those stations?
No.
Okay.
I just wanted
The bathroom right over here, Glenn.
not learn all these procedural things, right, Ted?
Okay.
I'll be kidding.
Oh, I understand procedural stuff.
Oh, my boy.
Good.
Oh, my dear boy. Thank you.
Board, there you go. I just saved you some
Thank you.
few bucks.
All right, we're now,
We've been using other little boards in the meantime. Thank you.
Number
You
4.
wanna come
Ready?
up, Justin,
Yep.
or?
Lot 3,
Oh, he's here.
I didn't even see you come in.
Fisk Hill Road and 30 Main Street, Blueberry Farm Road, notice of intent continued. Construction of a 68-lot manufactured housing community, DEP file number 300-1150.
Good evening.
Going?
Good.
Good,
Long time no see.
yeah. You been skiing yet?
I went 2 weeks ago.
Did you?
Up to
Good.
Stowe. No snow up there though.
Yeah.
So,
No snow anywhere.
yeah, I know.
I ask people, I don't go anymore, but I'm asking people.
Yeah.
All my grandchildren are skiing,
Yeah.
so. All right, you're here for a continuation?
No, we are here. We submitted a withdrawal.
A withdrawal?
So we're gonna be withdrawing again, and intent is to resubmit on February 16th. So we
All
can
right,
bring everybody back in to be able to vote and up to
Right.
speed.
all right.
Can we get that early on the agenda as well, so we?
Everything will have to be, because.
We're starting
then
at
there'll
5.
be a gap, you know.
What?
Yeah,
There'll
everything will be
an
early
odd
on the
gap of
agenda.
Time if we don't.
We'll do
everything
all the continuations will be first.
Okay,
And then any new projects will start
Afterwards.
after.
well, that's
We
gonna be
open
new.
the public hearing on this?
No, we're not gonna open the public
Not gonna
hearing
open
because
it,
I
Because
received
you've
a.
asked,
Yeah,
okay, you've withdrawn.
Withdrawn.
we have to close the hearing. We have to close the hearing. You have to
Okay.
close Justin's hearing.
Oh, okay. Not because we got a withdrawal. We don't even talk.
Well,
Nope.
any other discussion before we go to that? 'Cause,
Just- Do you
Well,
mind
what
if I
about- what about
drove
a
back
timing?
there and took a peek around? I wasn't on the
Oh.
board when the site, now I'll be able to participate as a new
Yeah,
application?
I agree. When the new one comes in, I would just say all the peer review reports, all the responses, everything to include, so that way it's part of that packet. And I think it would be advisable that before the next meeting, we go out, because we will have the 2 new members, and go
I can
out,
do that.
take a look, really go over it, so everyone understands it. So I think that will be important. And right, if you discuss going out there another time too and looking more, that's probably
No,
fine.
I do, with a sidewalk is fine.
Okay.
I do have some personal travel, but that's just this week coming up, so,
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
The next,
On the 16th.
16th is the meeting, and then the.
What time is this meeting going to be? I mean, Eric's got time pressure.
All right, so we're going to start it at 5. That was
That's at
decided,
5,
right?
yeah.
First public hearing can be
These three I think.
5:05. I don't think they need 10 or 15 minutes. You know, we'll do the first, we're going to have 16 Mount Dan. We're going to have to, we can talk about that in a minute, but 16 Mount Dan,
Blueberry Farm does need time.
I know.
I mean, you just open it and send them on their way, or are we
We
going
do
to?
that, the third one.
Yep. We'll do the 2 other continuations. We'll do the 2 continuations first, 698, and we'll talk to 16 Mount Dan here. And then we'll have that project, and then we'll go into the new projects. The other continuations, the 14 Cedar Lake Drive, 505 Main can then be next after that, and then we can do them afterwards. If everyone's willing, we can start the meeting earlier, too. That, you know, if we want to do
Right.
that.
You
Day
know,
of the week, is it? Thursday?
problem is planning it now without Roy here,
Right.
and without another member if we're able to get one. Or, you know,
Well, we need Roy, actually, regardless.
yeah.
We need Roy.
I mean, he has
Yeah,
the meeting
you do
schedule.
need Roy for everybody else, so
Yeah.
I might be able to.
And
help this
Roy,
He has
It's
been at
available
5 o'clock
already.
meetings before, so.
yeah.
So as long as he's available that day and he hasn't told anybody he isn't,
Let's plan it that way.
let's plan it for 5 and,
Yeah, 5 is the best we should probably do anyways.
Yeah.
and
So
I will do my level best to accommodate as many people as I possibly
You
can.
get, you get out of here at 6:30, whatever you gotta get out of here. 'cause-
The next site visit date is on the agenda. It's February 7th. Obviously, that's going to be weather dependent with
set it?
snow, but that's what we will plan. We will
Okay,
plan
that's fine.
for. So when you file, you'll get all the information again, site visit date, all that stuff. So we'll plan on that.
Site visit would be
through it a few
February
times.
7th.
7. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Early. All right. So this is just a procedural vote. So you do need to. I think you need to accept the withdrawal and
Yeah.
just close the hearing. So this hearing's done.
And there's
it's
no
procedural.
DEP file on this, right?
They did issue a file.
did,
on
Well,
the
they did
yeah.
file,
We'll
of
be
course.
we'll be
Of
resubmitting for
course.
another one.
All right.
All right?
Well, with regards to, do we need to go to the public or just procedural?
Yeah, I don't think you're just closing it, so there's no.
public
Yeah,
comment
let's just
on
close
He's
it out.
withdrawing his application.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Well, with regards to DEP file number 300-1150 at 20 Fiskill Road and 30 Main Street, I make a motion that we accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
I'll second the motion for the withdrawal of DEP file number 300-1150.
All right. All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ted Winglass in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Thank you.
Done. Thanks.
Thank you for your patience, Justin.
I understand we're all learning new stuff through this, so. We'll get through it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
So we got a few minutes.
6:45 at
No, we're good.
6:48. 6:49.
We're
You're
good.
all right.
All right, okay.
Number 5.
Number 5. 16 Mount Dan Road, continuation, notice of intent, raise and rebuild of a single-family lakefront home, DEP file number 300-1135, Deborah Weber and Lenny Jalbert.
All right, so as you're kind of hearing here.
Kind of gathering, yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we weren't aware that Roy Bishop was going to miss this meeting until 6 o'clock here, you know?
We just got pounded with
So
that.
because your hearing started before we lost the 2 members,
Yeah,
you need to have 3 members,
that had heard it before.
vote on the project, and Ted has to abstain because he wasn't on the board when the hearing started. So unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to, you know, unless, if you asked for them to vote on it, it wouldn't pass because you wouldn't have enough votes. So,
understood.
yeah, so I apologize for that.
So we'd like to have you continue it until the next meeting.
All right, I did provide, in the meantime, just some colored renderings. Can I leave those
Absolutely.
here?
Yeah.
Now?
Well, if the applicant would like, and the representative, since they are here, Roy does watch this, he could do a Mullins for this meeting, maybe it would be good to just give a quick presentation like the last hearing did, just to see if there's any additional comments or concerns with where they're at with the project. I think that.
I think the one thing that we would like to know is with the supplement narrative that we had provided and everything, was there any concerns or comments back from you? So if it's going to be continued, then we can certainly respond to that. But let me just give you these in the meantime. But that primarily would be a kind of our.
I agree, yeah.
This is the same.
Thank you.
We have this online, I think, right?
No, the color ones you don't. The
Oh,
other ones you
okay.
do. Yeah.
Okay.
And then that one can be-
For the file, thank
Yeah.
you.
And if you want a PDF, I can email it as well.
That's okay.
Just to go over what's being represented on the colored plan, and I thought sometimes it's just easier to see it in color to understand, what's existing, what's new, what's the balance of softscape to, hard. So all the really light green or yellowish green and the dark green, that's all the existing vegetation. You'll see to the far right over near the swale that goes from the road, that's all existing vegetation not being touched. All the other ones are not being touched that have that light green and dark green. The bluish little colors, that's the added plantings that is part of the project for the improvements. That it was in the package that was submitted to you in the updated bits of information. Every little tidbit of plantings is not necessarily represented there. I was trying to represent the more major items. The brown is obviously the house, the proposed house. And when you're looking towards the lake side of the house, you'll see like some round things. Those are the boulders that we know exist. We don't know how much they exist underneath, but we do know that those are the ones that are outcroppings. And then I have highlighted there in color both the 25-foot buffer and the 50-foot buffer, so you can see where they stand. In our narrative that we provided as a supplement, we gave you more detailed information as far as the square footages, how we arrived at this particular scheme. And even in our presentation of the drawings, you'll see it was alternate A. We had other alternates, but that was the one that was eventually selected for a variety of reasons to help satisfy the needs and the wants of the Conservation Commission in trying to move the building, the house, as much out of the 50-foot buffer as possible. So primarily just trying to see if there was anything in response that raised eyebrows or that we need to bring back more information from that narrative.
Eric, anything?
I'm just re-looking at these calculations. So remind me, because my brain is not as good as it once was.
So you're looking at the
Additional square footage within the 50-foot that was used for the calculation, Lenny, included or did not include patio or deck?
So can I answer this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You don't mind?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure. Yeah, sorry.
I'm Bob, by the way.
Sorry. Hi, Bob.
We're both not Lenny's.
No. Lenny knows I like to ask for math. So
Yeah. So on the second page of the narrative.
Yeah, I'm
is that what
reading
you're looking
that.
at?
Yeah,
Okay. So I've tried to identify that. So you have, in the red, we have the existing house within the 50-foot buffer is 808, 804.
Yep.
And then we have the existing deck and the stairs, again, within the 50 is 164.
Okay.
So the total within that is 968 square feet
Okay.
within the buffer.
Yeah.
All right. Then below, we were showing what is the proposed house total, and then it describes what is in each of the areas. The total construction in the 50-foot buffer area is actually a net reduction of, it's only 32 square feet, but it is a net reduction from what was there. And one other illustration I will provide you, which was in your package, is
Dotted red line.
It was smaller than that.
Proposed house.
That was the existing. This is the proposed.
in red. I'm sorry for my back.
No, that's okay.
Line is
Yeah.
existing,
Yeah.
I believe.
So what this is a straight overlay
Yep.
of the proposed house, which is
Yep.
in the dark, and the red is the existing.
Yep,
All right, but it's not in relation to the topo, it's in relation to using this as a line. and so
yep,
you
right,
can
right,
see
right.
what
Yep,
that is.
yep, okay. Okay. So we are overall reducing, it's
You guys
32
are just focusing on the 50, right?
on the 50.
You know we have 100.
I understand.
You know we have 100. I'm just telling you.
Well, we have 200 technically in this town, so.
Here for discussion.
And within our request, we were asking for the variance to be able to reconstruct in the 50-foot buffer, just to make sure that was on record.
Yep.
Yeah. If we were going within the 100, we would put them in the middle of the road. So I'm trying to be, I understand your point, Ed, but we can't tell them the alternative is not put them in the middle of the road. So, okay. And how many new plantings are coming in total?
I'd have to go to the planting plan that was submitted. I don't have that.
I don't know what the planting plan was.
We got existing vegetation.
Yeah, that was per town.
And it was all labeled with, it was
you-
numbers and species.
Time to take a look at this?
What do you mean?
Site visit?
He can't vote
Can't
on
vote
this
on it
one.
anyway.
I haven't
Oh,
been.
the hell with it, Ted.
How long is this? Doesn't matter, yeah.
Well, you should have saved that, you don't want to
I'm
fold
going
that.
to.
That might be
Oh, no,
famous
it's,
someday.
trust me, you'll get to know me, I'm good.
Okay, so we got the two trees instead of 3 coming out along the shoreline. What is being, what's being offset? So these are the removals. What are we replacing them with and where are we replacing them?
So there's a drawing there that has all the
Okay.
landscaping plans and plant species identified and quantities.
Right, the plan, yeah, they're on the site plan there.
They're on this? Oh,
Yeah,
Another one.
lots of paper.
Landscaping plan.
Okay.
All the trees and stuff. All numbered in here and everything.
So these are the only 2 that are coming out. Right?
Right in that particular area, yes.
Yeah.
There's one over here coming out, there's one couple down here in this section.
Yeah, well, there's up towards the road. We knew that, right? There's what, 6 up by the road? Is that right?
3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
There's a lot more than 6.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Up by the road, there's 6.
8, 9.
6.
Yeah. There's 6 X's here, so that's what I'm counting. Oh, I take it
I-
back.
I
There's
got
one
X,
over by
1, 2,
the
3,
side lot,
4.
so that'd be 7. One-
You-
5, 6, 7, 8.
You've seen the site, right?
Yeah, no, I had.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
My brain's not what it once was.
All right.
All right. What questions do you have?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Can I
So
have
the
this?
person that's not here,
I have this?
they'll get a copy of that and
And watch the meeting.
yeah, they'll watch the meeting.
they'll watch me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and do the Mullins form, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, so continuation to the next
Absolutely.
meeting. And what time will they be on?
Second.
Excuse me, just for
Yeah,
a
so we'll put
second,
them
I'd
5 to 10.
like to give Ted a copy of this so he can be with the group.
That'd be great, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
You want to go to the public before I make the motion for
Yep.
the continuation?
Good point. Public?
Yeah, anyone in the audience want to comment?
I do know the sisters are
They're on
watching.
here, yeah, there's no one else on here, so.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to issue a continuance for 16 Mount Dan Road, DP file number 300-1135, until February 16th.
I'll second that motion to continue 16 Mount Dan Road, DEP file number 300-1135 to February 16th.
All right. All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed Winglass in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yeah, I understand.
Thank you for your patience.
Yep, no, we'll get there. Thank you.
All right, so we'll skip, we have a couple certificate of compliance requests.
Well, does anybody that's here, we should.
Right, that's what we're gonna skip to now.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, that's what we're doing. So we're gonna skip a few things. We're gonna go to number 12 on the agenda. This is the Kerboy Junkyard, 71 Mashpog Road. We do have the property owner here and representative, if you guys wanna come up.
Come on up, gentlemen.
Thank you for coming in. Just to give a quick summary for the board, I did fill you in on the meeting notes that we did ask them to come in. Let me just get to my notes here. So recently, we were made aware of some activities occurring out there within jurisdiction, some removal of vegetation, grubbing, you know, things that would have required review with conservation before they were undertaken. So I did reach out to Gary Magnuson here of CMG, because I spoke to him before about the property. We had a storm coming in a few days, and we're really concerned about runoff, erosion getting into resource areas through drainage structures over there. So they did immediately respond, so thank you for that, I appreciate that, and put some erosion controls up, and you know, we discussed about getting the site stabilized. We've gotten some snow since then. They discussed putting down a hydro seed with a tack fire in there to kind of hold that to spring to germination, and also talk about filing requirements for that work. So we did ask them to come in about that, but also for the members of the board who were on this summer, this property recently came up with discussion with the Board of Selectmen. There was a transfer of license at this property. The board was asked to comment on that, so staff, we did some research on it, and noted that there were some areas of jurisdiction, you know, the original property owners had cleared out vehicles. It looks like they ceased operation in about 2008 over there. New property owner purchased it in about 2013, I believe. Went in, there's some areas of riverfront buffer zone that, where the old junkyard was, that grew back up. It looks like from the aerial photos, a lot of vegetation was removed and was kind of reestablished as operating junkyard again out there. Those activities and the continual use of the area would have required review through conservation under both the state act and the local bylaw. So that was important to kind of bring them in to discuss that aspect as well. You know, because it's riverfront area is a resource area, that use in there is an ongoing concern. So I thought, you know, find out what the current operation, it looks like things had kind of ceased there. I'm not really sure what's occurring out there, what's proposing to be done out there, in addition to maybe what was already completed. So kind of discuss a pathway moving forward and how we can address some of the concerns probably on the site that we have. Recommend, you know, looking to, you know, do a site visit, existing conditions plan, kind of see what, get a better idea of understanding that out there. And then looking at, you know, an after the fact notice of intent for activities that could be permitted. The things around the house definitely would have been something that could receive a permit for those activities. Some of the things in back and resource area, I think, you know, that would be questionable and have to get a better understanding of that first.
Okay, gentlemen?
If you will.
Name, serial number?
All right, Gary Magnuson, I'm one of the owners of CMG Environmental. Off the record, I am going skiing this weekend.
Oh, good, that's
So
good to
there
hear.
is snow up there.
I feel like that could be on the record. It's okay.
So, just by way of a little bit of background, I think Rebecca did a nice job explaining things there. She called me a week and a half ago. I happened to be away, reached right out to Sergey, the property owner. I was completely unaware that anything had happened over there. I told him that Conservation had reached out, had some concerns. I said, do I have your authorization to, you know, move forward and address things? He said, absolutely. My business partner, Jerry, happened to be 20 minutes from the site, drove over, took a look at it, reached out to Sergey, and there had been some clearing and grubbing. We'll explain about that in a quick minute. Reached out to Rebecca, put silt fence up that day, put a catch basin protection device in the catch basin, talked to Rebecca. It will be hydroseeded tomorrow. is the date. They were trying to do it last week. This weather didn't cooperate. It's been raining.
Well,
It's stabilized.
Practically cooperating, I mean.
I'm
you
sorry?
know, It could be a foot of snow there.
There could. So, in regards to that, by way of kind of background and moving forward, what I would like to do, and it's just a request from you guys, is to compartmentalize things. Rebecca reached out to us and Sergey, and we've, I believe, addressed the immediate concern, but we understand we have a lot of steps to pass through here to comply with all the paperwork requirements to deal with this, and I'll let Sergey explain what happened out there and why it happened. The issue that came up over the summer was a possible property transfer that did not occur, and there was a possible transfer of the two scrapyard licenses that would have required town approval, and that's why those went to the Board of Selectmen, I believe, and then kind of came back through you guys. That project is dead. The project is not being sold, or the property is not being sold at this point. Sergey is going to continue to operate it, and he can explain a little bit as to what his plan is there over the future. But I'd kind of like to deal with the issue at 71 Mashpog, which is the house, which has been vacant for a few years, and Sergey has a tenant in there, so we had to clean a few things up. But if you can explain a little bit about what happened in the last couple of weeks out there.
Yeah, actually, it's almost a month ago. I received a family refugee from Ukraine. It was a husband and wife and couple kids. So I offer them house to live. Again, they fresh off the boat. They have no clue how things work here. So to enter to the door, it's overgrew all kind of grass. Nobody was cutting the grass for a while, so some bushes grow up. So we opened one door where he can get in. They moved in. He asked permission if I can clear the property around the house, which is obviously, at one point it was all clean and was grass. He said, can I make property look like other houses on the street? Nice green grass, of course. That's the right thing to do. And also on the middle of the lawn, a wind blew the tree over. So when it fell over with the roots sticking up like about 8 feet. So he cut the tree, which is already was on the ground, and I think the almost tip of the tree was on the almost reaching the street. So they cut the end of it, but on the property, tree was there. So he decided, since he is at home and want to make a lawn look nice and clean, he cut the tree, and with the bobcat, he trying to scrape the dirt to fill the hole. So when they come back, he go through the whole yard just to make not the taper hole, but level it to cover the hole. And of course, that's what catch attention of. Again, the kid had no idea how things get done. But really, I didn't thought we didn't go any edges. It just whereas the grass was before, he kind of scraped the grass off. There was a problem, but then again, it's a good deed. I was trying to help the family, and it turned out against me.
So the status is there's a house at 71.
Yeah.
It had a lawn in it. Somebody lived in it prior to Sergey's purchase of the property. He did some work in the house years ago to kind of get it ready, and then it sat vacant for 8 years. And the vegetation on the yard just grew up and was coming through the windows, so they cleaned it up. And, like I told them, I said, if you guys had done that with hand clippers and a lawnmower, we wouldn't be here today. But because of the way it was done, we're here.
Yeah.
And Rebecca, I did look at it the other day. I don't know if you've done a drive-by inspection. I haven't seen any damage. The silt fence is holding back what's there. The basin is in the parking lot. There didn't appear to be any sediment or anything in
Yeah,
it.
I've gone by a few
Went by
times
it
after
today.
storms.
I went by today, there was no
So,
runoff from.
I'm not going to say no harm, no foul, but
Job as far as that's
we'll
concerned.
fix it. We'll deal with it. I guess it'd be really easy if we could file a request for determination of applicability and get a negative determination and say the silt fence works, but I don't know if you guys are going to go with that approach. That'd obviously be the easiest approach. And then talk to you further about your concerns out back. That's
Yeah,
a second, that's one way to deal with it, or
Yeah, I did discuss it with DEP, and their recommendation would be to, have that as like an after-the-fact NOI, and also include anything else that's proposed out there or any other activities occurring out there that, all as one.
So the entire 71 parcel, which is like 60 acres or something, right? Is that right?
I can look at it.
I don't know the exact,
45, I think.
yeah, there's
think
two
that one
parcels
is-
out, there's like
yeah.
a and a-
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So,
You own both
There would
parcels?
be, I mean, aren't they really, and I don't, aren't there really two kind of separate things? This, out front, I saw what they did, whether it's
Yeah, that's definitely.
all, I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that's a little, something small. Be honest, I've driven by there for 6 years, I wouldn't know what goes on back there, because it seems like it's always closed. I've had people stop, hey, is this place ever open? I'm sitting in the parking lot one day on my cell phone, and so I don't know what those other concerns are that you've outlined here in our details, but if it's, if there's activities that's potentially impacting, wetlands and the river and things like that, then maybe that's not a bad path. Let's get this done, but let's really then take a
Yeah,
good
I
look at
mean-
what the,
It is the board's decision, it's just how they recommended, so, you can do it as separate permitting if you like.
what do you think, Ed? Eric,
Well,
I'm
so,
new,
I mean,
so-
well, hey, but your vote counts
I'm
as much
new,
as
man.
everybody else's. So, I guess the question I would have for you, Gary, is that seemed like a pretty reasonable path forward, right? If we just do an NOI after the fact and deal with everything all at once, it kind of covers, it's two different directions to get to the same path. So to me, it seemed like it was a pretty practical way of dealing with it, because we're going to deal with it in two separate paths, or we're just going to deal with it in one path. Seems like less paperwork. It just puts it to bed. So, and when I talked to Becky earlier about it for what DEP was recommending, well, generally I need a pretty good reason not to follow what DEP is recommending to us, and two, it seemed logically to make the most sense to me, just the easiest way to put everything to bed. So I guess, I would need a pretty strong logical reason not to go down that path, because it's against DEP's recommendation, and my logic test says that's just the simplest way to do it.
so let's run a logic test. I like your approach. Sergey holds the permits, and he brings cars in, and he's not actively selling parts out of there right now, but the intent is to continue to use it for its use. Maybe get it back to not to the level that Kerboy operated it, but where people can come in and pick up parts, or you can, take parts, store cars there, and he has other facilities in other parts of the state where he may ultimately sell them. So I don't think there's much activity planned, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Sergey, over the next 1 to 5 years as far as any changes on the, what I'll call the facility property, the use of the property. Basically, there's cars stored there. There was cars stored there when the Kerboys owned it in 2006. There was cars stored there.
And they polluted it,
Absolutely.
okay?
100%.
So let's go through the process that he's not mentioning.
We are, and that's why I'm involved. We're doing all the MCP work to deal with the pollution out there. It was a permitted use. They polluted it, and Sergey has spent an awful lot of money to clean up that pollution. We've submitted a partial permanent solution to DEP, the Bureau of Wayside Cleanup, to document the cleanup of their car crushing area. The only residual contamination is 6 drinking water wells of 28 that we originally sampled have low concentrations that are continuing to diminish. That site will meet
Of what?
MTBE, gasoline additive. So probably another 5 to 8 years, hopefully those last few houses, they're down in the single digits. And once they get to the point of non-detect, we'll take them off, and then it'll be fully compliant with DEP's Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup.
Are you supplying them with water now?
They have treatment systems in some of the homes that have detections. They're below standards. They're not supplied with water. The Kerboys, we originally worked for Kerboy back in '06, And then when Sergey purchased the property, we continued to work for him. But any property that had contamination above certain levels had treatment systems installed. Sergey is still paying to maintain those treatment systems and paying us to do testing on a semi-annual or annual basis to make sure that the water's safe.
What, how would I see that testing?
It's all publicly available on Mass DEP's website. And I'll send you that link tomorrow.
Okay.
That's all, yeah, that's all. So the site is compliant with Mass DEP's Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup regs. Rebecca brought up a point that there was a notice of noncompliance. There was. Sergey had missed some deadlines. DEP spelled out those deadlines. Sergey met those deadlines. The reports were submitted on time. So from a Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup perspective, the site is in compliance. From operational perspective of him operating a scrap yard or a junkyard or a car storage yard, it's possible, and I didn't look at the aerial photos to the level that you guys did, that over the time from, Kerboys had 5,000 cars on site? 8,000 cars. They got rid of those before he purchased it. And then it sat vacant for a little bit. Vegetation probably grew up over 5 years. Then Sergey put cars back in those areas where there used to be wide open areas, and then there was, if he had mowed them every year, he would have put it back and there would have been nothing there. So I think, and I don't, that's going to, I guess where I'm going is dealing with the yard. If Sergey told me I want to do an expansion, or I want to put a nuclear waste dump there, or I want to do something, I would have a reason to come to this board and say, we want to do this on the property. Sergey is just going to continue to use the property for what it's been used for. He's going to store a car where he used to store a car, where same place that Kerboy stored a car from 1940.
What wetlands does that impact?
So there
Do you
is,
think that the regulations in 1940 are the same as they are today?
I do not.
Okay, just checking.
I do not.
Yeah.
So, but correct me if I'm wrong, if there's a change in use, we come to you guys. If we wanted to build a building out there,
If there's a change on the property which impacts a wetland, what do you do?
we talk to you guys
Okay.
and say, does that change require notice or permit?
Yeah, it's not necessarily change, it's alter, there's any
Alteration.
alteration.
That's the word.
Yeah.
And when it sat dormant and then came back in, the change of use is zoning, right? So that alteration, especially because it's riverfront area over there too, there's buffer zone, not sure all the wetlands that are over there, there's another intermittent stream up in the front there. Because it sat dormant and it grew back up, and then he wanted to reuse it, in the wetlands world, that's a trigger for a review. So at that time, it should have come into conservation for review for permitting, and we would have gone through it at that time. And considering it's a land use with a high pollutant load, there's things that would have been triggers to make improvements to stormwater, to make sure we're not having any future impacts to the environment or public health. So that's where that should have happened back in 2013, 15, when those changes happened. That is what, would have required review with conservation. And the continual use, because it didn't have review, is a concern too, in jurisdictional areas.
So I'm just trying to understand the path. That's what I'm struggling with is,
Well,
so
yeah,
you've asked for a notice of intent for the activities at 71, the house. I don't disagree with that at all. Or,
Well, I think it would have to be any of the activities that required review.
again, just so I understand what you guys
Yep.
want, because we're going to do what's required. I just need to understand it better. And be honest with you, I'm struggling with where we're supposed to go with this. Compartmentalizing, we have to address 71. I get that. I'm fine with that. We could do an after-the-fact notice of intent.
You're talking about the house part.
The
Yep.
house.
Yep.
So are you asking for an after-the-fact notice of intent for the storage of cars that happened in 2018? Or what are you asking for? That's what I don't understand.
Well, I think we need to also understand what's going on out there, where we don't know what's back there besides the aerial photos. So I think site visit, existing condition plan, knowing where jurisdiction is, delineating wetlands, riverfront area, will give a better understanding, because there may be things that are occurring out there. There's things, you know, considering it was a junkyard before and there was disturbed areas, there's things that would have been allowed out there, but there's things that might not be too, because we are talking about a riverfront area. So there are some extra protections there. I think when we have that, it'd be a better idea of, okay, this meets permitting standards, these things, you know, say this, however many feet in this area, can't have car storage. I think that'll give a better idea to kind of formulate that notice of intent. So I think it kind of needs to be two steps here. One, a commitment that a notice of intent for permittable activities out there, what you're asking for, and that's where we got to know within jurisdiction. I think it's especially, you know, the back car storage areas is the focus of concern. Those are what really changed out there from what I can tell from aerial photos. And then the commission can evaluate, you know, all right, these things are of particular concern and they won't meet permitting standards. We want, you know, restoration or cars moved out of here and allowed to regrow. So I think that's got to kind of happen to establish the rest of the notice of intent aspects of it. But I think if we can figure out a timeline, what you're comfortable with too, you know, can we get an existing condition plan, get an idea of what's out there? Maybe we can get out there and take a look at it and better understand that. And then that can help formulate the notice of intent and what can happen out there, I guess.
Are you guys on board with Rebecca's approach there?
I think that's a good approach.
So Sergey, are you amenable to essentially what they're asking? They're asking for a fair amount of work on your end, because now we've got to delineate wetlands on 45 acres, do an existing conditions plan for 45 acres.
Well, not all the 45 acres, if you're not using it all, no, just the areas of use.
You got to do all. When Kerboys owned it, they had cars in the river.
I'm sure.
Those were all taken out, and now
I think there's still some cars here.
Jackson knew where everything was.
He did.
If I needed
that plan was amazing. Yeah, so it's going to be a pretty detailed process to get a good site plan, to get those existing conditions, to get the topography, to get the wetlands delineated, to get it all. I know what you want, but I don't, you know, it's Sergey's property. You need to commit to it. There's going to take some time, and it's going to take a fair amount of money to get the information that they're asking us to give them. Then they could do a site inspection with a plan that shows what's what. Since you're not changing anything out there, I don't think it's a big deal. And then the discussion would be had of, okay, to your earlier discussion, we have a 50-foot, we have a 100-foot, we have a 200-foot.
Yeah.
Which line is the line we're going to work with here?
Yeah.
Because right now, or historically, there were things at 0, and I personally haven't been out in the back 40 for a couple of years, so I don't know where things are right now. But I don't think that's an unreasonable plan of action. But I can't commit for you to it's going to cost a fair amount of money and some time to do that.
I'm gonna do a little research. Like from the beginning, maybe some questions was not really used to the full extent. I committed to clean up before I gonna fully operate it, which is we did, and clean out turned out a lot more than I was expecting, which is we still met all the deadlines, and I got 4 tractor trailers of tires. Tires was through everywhere, like in a wetland, and even trees grew over the tires, through the tires. It's like a rubber band in the middle of the tree, and those still there, you can see them, we don't want to cut the tree. So I did as much as possible, and all the dirty land, and then the COVID happened. So it was like one after another. And so that's about time when we finished the cleanup process and everything. And again, we're not looking to use, where it's going to be like a mall where it's hundreds of vehicles. Especially we use it now. I mean, we have a facility, but we have other yards in Springfield. So we're taking parts, we're just selling through different. And number and still active website. So people buying and we ship them from Kerboy parts. So it's operating even though it's not sign open or we don't have employees, which is we're looking to do it right, clean up and process cars, not like they did in the woods. We're gonna process them all inside the building.
Well, that isn't an answer.
According to the answer, yeah.
Yeah.
According to the answer, we're gonna look into it, how much, time and what need to be done, and as soon as possible, we try to come up, see what it cost and time need to submit the plan.
Yeah, I just want to add is that, right, like this should have, this process was supposed to happen before, like, the clearing happened and the cars got moved back up in there. And you would have had to come in and go through the review, and it's a land use, the high pollutant load, and, show to meet all those things. So it's something that was required to be done. Like I said, I did talk to DEP about this site because I had a lot of questions and needed some guidance on it. Because, those activities were a violation, and having the cars there within Riverfront area, which is a resource area, is a continuing violation. The commission they can issue legally enforcement order for it, saying you have to do these things and go through that process. So I think they want to work cooperatively with you guys too, but it is something that it's pretty significant, and we want to make sure it gets addressed. And I think, because it didn't happen before, doesn't mean it's an option to do it at this point. I think looking at that existing condition plan, right, if it's not the full 45 acres, we don't need to have all of that done. Just really focusing on the use areas.
I would say we do. I would say we do. 45 acres is much.
Right, but maybe you don't need
And if
topography in the back.
if they're only working in an area of it, the rest of it's going to be very easy.
Yeah, no, that's up to you. I just trying to offer a solution to help with expediting it, and
I just prefer to see things in a macro, so if I could see the whole project, I'd rather see the whole project than as.
oh yeah, I agree. We want to see everything that's part of what their project is.
And, it's bottom line, it should have been done 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and that's really where I just come from.
Well-
Everyone's got to follow the rules, whether you like them or not, that's what they are.
It's probably not an area we need to go to, what you're thinking right now, because he's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the best way to get you guys what you need.
Yeah, okay, all right.
And
Without a fight is the best way to do it.
without a fight is always the best way to do it.
Absolutely. It doesn't give the great satisfaction, but it's the way to do it.
The satisfaction. They're scrapper down there. Well, so.
You know what I'm
would-
saying. I'm not
would
being
the appropriate way
crushed.
forward to, obviously, we've just swapped a bunch of conversations and information. So to take that information that we've just discussed with you and come back in 3 weeks, like you guys can confer, get an idea of really what the scope of what you're talking about, and then come back in 3 weeks and discuss what the plan would be to move forward. It's because otherwise I would just see us spinning our wheels for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, we
because
don't need to do that. No, I think enough information's been said. Are you willing to come back in 3 weeks?
Oh, yeah.
All right, then let's come back in 3 weeks and talk about a schedule.
Okay.
Okay.
Does
Yep.
that
Yep.
meet you guys' objectives at this point?
Yep.
No, that's good.
And-
Well, especially if
But
if you're
the
already
survey-
protecting
yeah.
what was already scraped up, and we've got that secured.
Yeah, the house
That's
is-
being hydroseeded and all that
House,
stuff.
he didn't get a permit. The house is, I think, not gonna be a problem.
Do the paperwork to get that through also, maybe for next week.
We'll include that with everything.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys want everything, not compartment. So, we'll see in 3 weeks with a schedule.
Could I ask a question that's totally off topic? Not really, but you said the house was empty for 8 years. Is their well one of the wells?
It is, and we test it.
Okay, good.
And we do
I
test it.
just wanted to make sure
No,
that-
that's a very fair question. Yeah, it has been tested.
How's Jackson doing?
I honestly don't know. I haven't seen him in about 4 years.
Yeah.
He wasn't great last time I saw him.
I know. That was my facetious comment about that well.
He's a good man.
He
No,
is.
his well's the good one.
Oh, is it? Yeah, no, he was,
Believe it or not.
you know, you could get anything up there when I needed parts.
So we're going to come back with a schedule.
Okay.
We'll communicate with you if we have any specific questions.
And if you can, if there's any way to get a kind of preliminary, something over an aerial photo, if you can do anything for discussion purposes, that might be helpful. Even if it's just some preliminary, hey, this is where the rivers are and general area of wetlands around them.
Yeah, we can pull some mass mapper information. We
yeah.
won't obviously have we won't have wetlands
Right.
flagged and surveyed by then,
Right.
but
No.
we can
Yeah.
pull some mass mapper information.
That intermittent stream isn't, in that associated wetland isn't shown on Mass Mapper, so.
Yeah, there's culverts, and I don't know how accurate that is. I was looking at that today.
Yeah, that's a good starting spot.
Yeah, I think it's the most practical way to move forward, right?
Yeah. All right.
And of course, was Jackson's first name Roger?
It is. It is.
According to this, he unfortunately passed away
That's
in
what I thought.
21.
21.
Yeah,
That would,
I knew that.
I was going to say, it's been a while since, and I haven't been in his house and.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the meeting is on February 16th.
And I hear tell it's starting around 5.
It's starting around 5,
We're going to be
so.
at about 6:30, it sounds like, right?
Guaranteed.
Sounds like you've got a busy few agendas prior to us, so.
We're messed up. We
No, that-
one guy left, one guy died, and we're trying to move into having a full commission, and it's the way of the world.
You work with us, we'll work with you, we'll get
Yeah.
through this.
Where are you going skiing?
I'm going to ski at Cannon and Loon, New Hampshire.
Cannon, huh? Somebody was
Hopefully they
killed
have some
at Cannon
snow
a
up there.
couple
That's
weeks
good.
ago.
Do you have anything else for us? I apologize.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
No,
All set?
see you on the 16th.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you,
in.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so we will go back to,
Thanks for changing the agenda as well and sliding us in.
oh, no problem.
Item 12.
Or 9.
7.
We try to
Oh, we
accommodate.
have to talk about that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Have a good night. Thank you.
Take care. Good night.
Thank you. So we have 34 Cedar Street, it's a request for certificate of compliance, DP file number 300-1104. This one, let me just get back to my notes, which are over here. This one is a newer house that was constructed. The work isn't completed out there. However, they had a real estate transaction, so they wanted to get the requests for certificate of compliance in as part of that. With that, they did include a letter, outlining what's been completed and what needs to continue to be done. They are aware that those things need to get completed, final stabilization, they need to add one more drainage structure near the garage, and they need to put up a fence. All those things are planned to happen this spring, but as I said, since there was a real estate transaction, they wanted to get that in for the buyers and the buyers' attorneys, just to outline what was still needed to be done. So at this time, I'd recommend that we hold off on issuance of that until the project is completed.
All right, in agreement?
Yep.
Yep, good.
All right, number 9 is 11 McGilpin Road, another request for certificate of compliance. This is DEP file number 1033. This is a house that was constructed, where is it? There it is. It's been finished for a few years now. Went by, it is stabilized. We have a letter of substantial compliance from the engineer for that project. I recommend complete issuance with perpetual conditions number 49 through 52. And they need to remove their file number and their erosion controls that are out there.
Did you go take a look at it, Becky?
I did, yep.
Did you see how the water was traveling down the road?
With a pipe.
Yeah, that's working all right?
Yeah, I mean, the last time I just went by, it wasn't raining, but I've been by there multiple times, and that is functioning. You can see where the water's coming out of it
Yep.
and going down there. Yep.
Just out of curiosity, are any of those perpetual conditions dealing with O&M plans for pervious
Pavers?
pavers or whatnot?
Not for that one, no.
Okay.
No.
the homeowner does still have their erosion controls or their fence up.
You know,
It'd be nice for them to know that they can take it down now.
take it down. All
Yeah.
right, I'd like to make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for the property at 11 McGilpin Road, DEP file number 300-1033, with the perpetual conditions noted.
I'll second that motion to approve the certificate of compliance for DEP file 300-1033.
All right. All in
Eric
favor?
Gaspar in favor?
In favor, Ted Winglass?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
All right, on to number 10. This is 59 Steeple View, formerly known as 335 Main Street. Request for a partial, oh no, this is a complete certificate. Sorry about that. It's the complete certificate of compliance for Phase 4, DEP file number 300-108. Sorry, I got
Back
lost
in the
there for
day.
a second. This is a really old one.
108?
Oldie
Yeah.
but goodie.
So this is the hills, the condos behind Hometown Bank.
Oh,
Yep, Phase 4 was for the construction of one of the buildings. I believe it was building number 68, which backs up onto the wetlands over there. So Phase 1, 2, and 3 were closed out with a certificate of compliance, but Phase 4 never did. One of the owners of the condos is selling, and the title attorney found this old order on. It's been happening a lot. The attorneys are doing a much better job of searching these things, and old ones are coming up. So I went back.
How many houses are in that section? How many condos are in that?
In that
section?
building, that
Yeah.
one building? Oh, I don't know. It's not one of the massive ones. It was a smaller one, maybe 4, 5.
The one that's closest to the wetland?
Up the hill.
Yeah, it's way up
right.
the hill. It's really far.
Yeah.
So we didn't have our file. We were able to find, planning department had a plan. We looked at that where the building was located in relation to the road below, and we were able to use the aerial photos and show that was done correctly. So it was correct. So it's been done for a long time, so it's well stabilized. So I just recommend issuance of a complete certificate of compliance. And there was a perpetual condition number 22 on there. And I think that was,
year was 108 issued originally.
I think that was,
86, I think we decided.
was it 86?
So
the
Ed,
90s,
you
the
were
90s?
you joined what, 85?
I was on the commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
When this was.
So you remember
Actually,
that?
the order,
What?
the order on the registry, I looked at the order.
Yeah.
It must have had your signature.
Well,
Well, I was on the commission. I
Probably.
don't know, you know.
I'll
didn't
make a
sign
motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance, not partial, for 59 Steeple View, formerly known as 335 Main Street, DEP file number 300-108.
I'll second the motion to issue a certificate of compliance for Phase 4, DEP file number 300-108.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ted Winglass, aye.
And Ed Goodwin in favor.
All right, so we were just discussing here for, under administrative decisions for the minutes.
We can't do it.
Nope, we can't. So we'll just have to continue them to the
Just
next
roll 'em
meeting.
over.
Roll them over.
How long before we can approve minutes?
Well, we have to do it when you're here next time.
Yeah, right.
That will have to be one
Oh,
of the
the
items.
beginning.
Be in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're
Let's
gonna
remember
leave
that.
before we do minutes.
I have a lot of notes for the next meeting.
Four sections of minutes by the
That's
time
okay,
we
'cause
come
I
in.
have to get in an airplane.
Oh, yeah,
Every day,
perfect.
So I'm
Yeah.
happy about that. I have to be in Boston at like 4:30 in the
See,
morning on Friday.
Caroline's band performance, you're welcome. These kids, they now have activities.
I know.
Great.
Well, and I guess too, when we have a full board again, 6 o'clock is the time we have been meeting, but if it's,
We need to discuss, yeah,
times.
when we want to do it and how we can get people to site visits.
Do we need to change the
When
day?
is the best time to do that?
Yeah.
We can change anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the Thursday meetings have obviously been working by and large for me.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, me
And
too.
every 3 weeks has been working.
Well, it is cutting into my fins and tails
Oh,
budget, but
oh, see, we're saving you money.
It'll save me
Look
money,
at-
that's
look at
right.
the Con savings plan.
Yeah, we're saving you money.
Any old business?
I mean, I don't know if this is old business or new business, but I know that we've pretty much cleared the decks of these continuances and we're working through them. But this can't be our operating plan going forward. And we need a second opinion by the attorney, preferably by somebody different than the original opinion, because this can't possibly be the first time that this has come up in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts under these open meeting laws. And if it's just because of our local bylaws, we need to fix our local bylaws to conform so we don't conflict ourselves, or at least I believe that we should,
right.
because
That's your opinion. We can have that discussion. You know, I went through the other phase when, you know, it got to the point where people were manipulating for the time when they would have their vote. And we stopped that with the 3, and I like the 3. You got to have 3 votes. If you don't have 3 votes from an existing 5-member board, you don't get passed. And that's all there is to it. Now, I could give you a chapter and verse on your favorite, which they're just holding off for the vote, and they're not bringing us any information. That's a classic example. I could go through the whole thing. I could give you 20 reasons why they don't want to do what they're doing. But, you know, they just want you to vote, because they know you're going to vote for it, and they have a pretty good idea who else is going to vote for it. So that's what they want, and that's what you want. But that's not what I want.
it's not necessarily what I want. It
is what
we
you
had
want.
a
Eric,
we had a
face yourself and
we had a
say-
5-person board.
Yeah.
We went down to 3.
Yeah.
We were operating with a 3. If we added a member that could vote on it, then I'm okay with that. But we are setting quorum based on somebody who can't vote for somebody.
Right.
Or for something, is ineligible.
Yeah.
That doesn't pass
Let's
a
go-
logic test.
Okay, we
We
can
have a
s-
disagreement on that's fine.
Yeah.
But clear the decks and set
we
that
never
aside.
knew or never had was the fact that if you miss 2 meetings on something,
Well, and that's,
that we always used the Mullen rule,
yeah.
and we would, you know,
Well, and that also doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense to me
Not to
either,
me.
because we went through and I watched those meetings and was prepared for those meetings. It is what it, and it also puts, you know, it seems like an unfair standard and an unfair burden. You know, everything we're doing here is of public service. You know, and in 3.5 years, I've missed 3 meetings. 2 of them put that whole situation in order because I took time off for my daughter's birthday and for a family vacation. Now, that's my responsibility, right? It is what it is.
No,
But,
That-
you
that's
know,
not-
these are-
You're talking about, of course, you've done a great job. Nobody would say differently. And you've come in from Texas on you know, meetings and so forth. That's a problem. You know, that's not a problem. That has to be in your life.
yeah.
You can't do it any other way. But we have to work through this. We lost, you know, 2 members in short order, and the person you hired hasn't hired people fast enough.
Yeah.
Period. So,
Well, just to, you know,
And
even
she
with you
could have.
missing those meetings, it wasn't your fault. They didn't have to withdraw. I mean, they were still eligible people, I guess, you know?
I'm not taking
Yeah.
responsibility for
Yeah.
these things. All I'm saying is, if quorum was 3, we add a 4th person, and then that then resets the vote, and that person can't vote,
yeah.
then that doesn't pass the logic test for me,
Okay.
regardless of what we're talking about.
And
here. Yes,
What
you and I
think we
have a
should do-
disagreement.
What I think we should do is have an opportunity to have a discussion as board members at some point at a meeting. Whether that's non-public, I don't know whether you can go into non-public for this type of stuff or not.
We
But-
can.
But we should really have a scheduled time versus it just being an old business item.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And when we get another board member, they'll be as green as I am and I have some background at least in government, but not Massachusetts government. So we'll
Yeah.
work through
Right.
those and
Yeah.
it-
I think that's
not-
advisable.
Have a
Move forward when we
board
have
that
new
serves the
members
public.
and
That's what we
have a
need to do.
discussion on it.
Let's
I just-
move along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, just, I just
fair.
want to say though, under the Wetlands Protection Act, they're silent on that situation too, so that can come up and that can come up. We are a little bit different than the Wetlands Protection Act, but it could come up too. If we had new people come on, it would be the same thing, and if everybody was here, then they would still need those votes too. So it could come up, and I don't think that, you know, that's ever anticipated within those, but that is a scenario, and I think it can come up with other boards and regulations too.
All right. Let's
But yeah,
Let's
have a
move
future
on.
discussion.
Administrative
So let's close it
updates.
out, right, for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Well,
I-
we can get-
I apologize for bringing it up now. I probably should have brought it up when we had a 5-member board. It's not appropriate to discuss right now, so we should have all members.
Well, hopefully we
now.
get 5 members, we get back on
Yep.
swing. But, you know, a member not telling you that he's not going to be at the meeting, that hurts. I mean, we hurt those people.
Right, and you do take the role on to serve. That's the only reason you're sitting here.
Yeah.
For you, for God
Yeah.
knows how long. God love you.
All right, let's go.
We do have the virtual option as well. If you ever were in a bind and you couldn't join.
Yeah.
Yep, I've done it
That
from
way.
Texas.
I just want to tell, can we go to updates?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. We did have a CPC meeting, which Becky attended, and Becky, you want to talk about what you asked
Yeah,
for
I
from
actually,
us?
I did tell them last time when we had
Okay,
that
then you don't
last
have to say it
meeting.
again.
Yeah.
All right. And there's a lot of money that came through. I'm just going to give you the guys off the top, all right? Historic preservation for the burial grounds has been getting $9,500 through CPC annually for a long time, and they use the money to repair gravestones in our two historic cemeteries. So $9,500 again this year.
All
60,000.
those funds held by the town?
What?
Are those funds all held by the town and?
CPA is a community preservation fund, which there's,
Right, but when they allocate the funds to the to the historic.
yeah, they're held by the town and paid, the
Yeah,
bills are
yeah.
paid, yeah. 9,500 for historic, that, and then the next one is 60,000 for CPA open space. That's for the Fisk Hill property. Right, Beck?
Yep, that's to do the CR for that property that's
Yeah.
required.
Yeah, you gotta not say it that way, because really the CR is 10 grand, and there are a whole series of other things that we
Oh,
have to
okay,
do.
yeah.
In order to,
Yeah,
I got 3 calls
Procedural
on
and
that.
administrative,
What? Yeah, right.
yeah.
But saying it, because we've only paid 10 grand for each of the other CRs to get them, you know. So, all right.
Associated documentation.
Yeah. And trails, 25,000 for creating a master plan and the work and signage maps, forest rehabilitation, and enhancement of public access for the Plimpton property. So that's on, and then there's 45,000 for the fund for trails, creating signage and base, this is for lead mine, Long Pond, Fisk Hill, Plimpton, and Hines. And that was 45,000. And then 119,000 for engineering for the bridge.
Okay.
And then 220,000.
Bridge.
It's a bridge that's going to go from the center of town.
By Kaizen,
Yeah.
across the Quinnebog River.
Across the Quinnebog River and into the woods.
We
to the
have
trail- to our
conservation
trails.
land back there, so you're gonna connect the commercial tourist district back to the conservation property back there.
Now, the CPA fund approves these to go to town meeting for you to vote on. That's all they do.
Okay.
All right? They try and get detail to them and say yes or no. CPA has rules, like you can't do maintenance, stuff like that.
Right.
There's a whole series of rules,
Yeah.
you know, and we go through that. So, let me see if there's anything else. So that's pretty much it. Becky, can you remember anything else that we?
You started to say 220.
Yeah,
What was that one for?
that is for engineering, design, and permitting for connection of the Riverlands bridge,
Oh,
pedestrian bridge.
got it.
And they talked about, that's the bones, they talked about other monies that they're getting and matching funds that they're getting, which will replace some of this. In fact, 90,000, Becky, they said they didn't spend from last year that they,
I wasn't there when they came in. I was gone
okay.
before they got there, so I missed that, yeah.
so, kind of gives you an update on that. Anything from Lakes, nothing going on with Lakes, no?
Big Elm is working on a notice of intent, new management plan for their lake.
Yeah.
Are they switching from Solitude?
Yes.
Open space met,
Yesterday?
yeah, yesterday, so they did their annual report and that kind of stuff. And that's all I have. Trails, I don't know what Brandon and Tom you're doing. I'm not gonna,
Me neither.
what?
I don't know either. I don't think they're,
Yeah.
Well, Tom's working on the, well, he was
Oh,
asking for
yeah.
your help with the,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
he's
we're
working
doing
on the
some
things
trail
we're talking about.
Trail
mapping
mapping.
with them. Do a new trail plan for Riverlands, update that, and then we'll be working on a new trail plan for the Grand Trunk Trail, kind of over, like showing the whole project from Franklin to Palmer.
That's what the 119
And then
is for,
ours.
right?
Well, that's, yeah, I think that's where, maybe you forgot to say that. So they're looking at the next
Yeah, it's for the
property,
Grand Trunk
getting
Trail.
an easement and doing the design for the rest of the trail to come out to Route 15. So from Farquhar Road over to Route 15 behind the Paw Plaza. So that's probably your 119.
So you know where the next to your house, where the trail is, you go down the river, across Ed Calcutt Bridge, and then you go along the river again, and it brings you out onto
Farquhar.
Farquhar Road. And
Well, I know that, I haven't taken that extension down
It's new.
to where you can come out to Farquhar.
Yep.
yeah.
I haven't gone that far, but.
It's nice.
They're going across the street, and a woman in town has bought the land across the street so that they can go from there to Route 15, and then they're gonna go across onto the village
Behind that
land.
house with that pond? No, that-
Behind that, yep, the
Yep.
house of the pond,
Yeah,
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, so,
It's a nice project.
Because there's no parking there at Farquhar.
No,
they're gonna,
no.
but they have plans in this money for parking there.
On
Not
Farquhar
on,
Road?
no.
No.
Oh, is it
Maybe
on 15? It's on
Maybe
that
they're
property.
talking about Route 15. I don't know, they haven't discussed
on
it with us
15.
really. Maybe on Route 15. I don't think there's anywhere in Farquhar you can do it.
Because it's really tight, that's a really narrow road right there.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
More
reason they're
narrow
trying,
now.
but if you look to the right as you're going in, that's where her property goes in. Just before you get to the stop sign,
Yeah.
where the power lines cross there,
I'd have
it
to,
goes in. Take a look then.
Yeah,
I
I'd
I
drive
don't know
through
what
there
I'm talking
enough.
about either. I'll find out and let you know. But it's there somewhere, so.
yep, yeah. Well, the trail mapping, the mapping, putting the maps out isn't included in that. But what we're looking at doing is, for the overall Grand Trunk one, is working with Ty and Bond to do what's called a GIS story map. So you can do an actual printed map, but if you get online, you can hover over and pictures will pop up. You can zoom in better. Like, it's an interactive map for people, where we can show parking areas and include history and things like that. So we're kind of working on a project with them for that. So that'll be a nice
great.
project. Yeah. Yeah.
with all our spare time.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're on to 71 Mashpog.
Well, on note 13, so we've got a special land use application. So Ted, so you're aware, sometimes we have groups that ask us to use the conservation properties to hold small events out there. There's been some larger things out there too. So we do have a process for that. We did receive a request from the Last Green Valley. They'd like to do a hike on the lead mine property on March 20th, which is the first day of spring. The gentleman who's doing it, Bill Reed, I believe, he actually worked at Old Sturbridge Village for a long time, so he'll lead the walk. It's not a narrated walk, but he will point out things, related to the history of Camp Robinson
Is it
Crusoe
Steve?
there. Huh?
Steve?
Bill?
Oh, Bill?
Bill Reed? He worked at Old Sturbridge
Yeah,
Village.
yeah.
I didn't write his name on here. I'm pretty positive that's what it is. So that'll be open. I think it starts at 10 o'clock. So it's advertised through the Last Green Valley, so if you don't have plans, show up. It's a nice property. So, just
Yep, I got it.
yeah, they're not setting up anything. There's no food or, structures or anything like that. They estimate 15 to 20 cars, so just need a approval of that,
Yep.
a vote for
All in
that.
favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Ted Winglass in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Boom.
I just got some updates just to fill you in on some things. To make you aware, we're still working on the 110 Brookfield Road and 226 Roy Road. I did follow up a couple times with the property owner. I followed up again yesterday. Did get a reply, did speak to Mark Farrell of Green Hill Engineering, who is looking at taking on that project. Did go over those things with him. Also asked for an update on the 226 Roy Road. So he had been issued a permit to continue to finish that project. There was some restoration that had to occur out there. He didn't record the extension permit and he can't find it. So I did ask town council, we can reissue that extension so that way he can finish that work out there. So I do have, because it was prior to the electronic signatures, just like you did last time, a duplicate to issue if you just can sign that. There's no votes required because it was already approved, and town council said it was appropriate to do this. That way he can get that work finished out there. So I do have this.
And is Ted still a trespasser over there?
Yes.
As of this moment, I did ask the trespass violation. The trespass violation in the meeting that we had, and Ed was at the meeting we had on January 9th, was discussed to be released. I have not been made aware that it's been released yet. I did ask, and I didn't get an answer on that. So I think that, it would probably be a good idea that we maybe put this on the agenda for the next meeting and have him come in to get a better update of where he stands with these things, if you felt it was appropriate, just to make sure we keep this moving forward.
Well, we can't go there, can we?
Not yet.
So, probably.
As a reminder, thank you, there's been no,
Got a lot going on the next meeting agenda.
been no formal enforcement action taken there at this time, so so.
Ed, what do you think? Should we have him come in?
What?
Should we have him come in?
Oh, I don't think so, but.
You don't think so?
He's not gonna want to by then.
Okay.
We'll see where he stands.
Well, maybe we ask for an update,
Ask
a
for an
written
update, yeah.
update to provide to you at that time.
Yeah.
I'm only aware right now of 2 filings, new filings for the next meeting, but we still have until Tuesday.
I
Yeah, well-
7 hearings. A lot.
Oh, we've had more.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's
Seven?
just,
That's not-
Yeah.
I think part of the point I'm hearing is that people keep coming back and forth, so you'd like to be able to move a project along if
Well,
it's
if we had-
something that's
If we had
able
known
to be
about-
moved
If
along.
we had
Oh,
known
yeah.
about today, we probably would have
Well, this was disappointing tonight because
contacted our people.
Roy didn't show.
Yeah, a couple of them could have.
But we could have gotten
Through.
3 of them
Yeah.
that I know of, we could have probably gotten rid of.
Yeah.
But
Things happen.
They happen.
Yeah. Just so you're aware, the Empire Buffet on Main Street, I believe it's 446 Main. I didn't write down the address, but I think that's what it is. I did follow up with Glenn Kravosky on that. This is another issue site. They had beaver issues out there. There was a project where certificate of compliance wasn't completed. We weren't sure if they did the work appropriately out there. He's working on it. He had a surveyor go out there, looked at the stormwater structure back there, picked up some elevations. We also, after that, we talked about that they need to look at the parking lot to make sure that that's, pitched correctly to be going to the stormwater structure, because the front of it was going on the adjacent property. So he's working on that, and we'll be coming back soon. The beaver issues have been temporarily resolved, but they are looking for that long-term plan that they'll be filing for. So they're still working on it. There's no immediate issues on the site, so I think it's okay to give them the time they need to continue on that. Just so you're aware, you probably got the emails, the MACC virtual conference is coming up. They usually do a spring in-person conference. They haven't done it since COVID, but it is available online, and it does give more dates as an option to go. Some of the fundamental classes are offered, as well as kind of other interesting workshops. We do have money in the budget. If you are interested in going, they haven't come out with a schedule. They'll send that email. I'll forward it to make sure you get it. Please let us know what you're interested.
So the actual will be when?
It's like March 5th through 8th, I think, or something like that.
Early, huh?
So we used to go to Holy Cross every year.
I'm not tough, so.
No, it's just on the computer.
What?
Just on the computer.
Just on the
It's not in
computer?
person. It's
Where do I
probably
get lunch?
your refrigerator. Yeah. It was a nice conference. You went to it once, right? Pre-COVID? World shut down right after that.
I got to see Ed and the fisheries guy get into it. That was fun.
He's still,
About Hammett Brook. I was like, I don't even know where Hammett Brook is.
What's
but
Hammett Brook?
Now I
Not
know.
with him, no.
Did you have a name tag on that said
Brook Trout
Sturbridge or
still
anything?
can't get up it,
Yeah, I know.
because they didn't put it in the plan.
How did that?
Just a couple other things. I did reach out to town council. The court hearing for the Pine Lake case we have, that one was continued. He has not gotten a new continuation date. He is going to follow up with their attorney because they were going to look into access to clean that pond out. So he's working on that. Just so you're aware, we're working on the annual report right now. And we always put the numbers together for the year for what the permits are. So I just thought I'd go through those with you quickly. I also do it at fiscal year when we go to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
So those ones are a little bit different, but, so last year we had 31 orders of conditions, 30 RDAs came in. We had 1 resource area delineation, 3 local orders of conditions we issued. You guys did 1 wetland bylaw letter permit. I did 66. So things that met that qualification to go to me. For those, we issued 7 land use permits for the properties. There was 1 amendment. We had 34 certificates of compliance, and I bet 33 of them were expired from old dates. And we had 3 emergency authorizations that went out.
Which
So-
was the one that was not expired?
I don't know. I just, it's a high percentage that probably were, So, yeah.
104 Westwood Drive. 104, whoa,
So-
did we issue it?
Yes, that one wasn't
What about
expired.
77?
That was
No,
expired.
way expired.
Okay, all right.
That, his other one was from the 90s. Yeah, I know.
Sorry I asked the question.
I'll get the dates next
We're really
time.
trying to ask people too, like, when they come in with a new project and they have some open order, we just say, the commission does not look favorably on issuing new permits when open permits are from a long time ago. But
Yep.
Anything else, Beck?
That's about it.
Eric, what do you got to say?
I would think that Ted should motion for an adjournment.
idea.
I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Conservation Commission for the town of Sturbridge, January 26.
I would like to second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.